Good.
So live stream should start just about now. So guys, welcome to my office hours. Maybe you guys could all start off just by introducing yourself and then giving your perspective on the topic, which is around the Caltrain intersections.
Who,
Okay, who would
who
like
would,
to go first?
yeah. I'll jump in. How's
Sure.
that? Yeah. Hi, Greg. Hello. And Koa. Hello. Uh, Jackie Schneider.
Oh, thank you.
My husband is Bob Rebitzer. He also wrote to you. He's not able to,
Pull up a chair.
so I'm here. We've lived here over 20 years. Just so you know, we have children that went through the Palo Alto High School school system. And let me just give you a perspective, a couple things. The first is less important for now, but perhaps for the future, a way to find out about, really important things that are happening. Clearly, you could argue we will be part of the city council meetings and keep apprised in the future. But it really came out of left field. And I would say for most of us on Seal Avenue, this notion of putting a tunnel on our block. In looking back at the history, it does seem like there was conversation, but none of us were notified that this was a conversation if we weren't part of the meeting. So that's something we talk about for the future. Like, how do we collectively make sure that we are apprised? And then how can city council make sure residents that are immediately impacted can be apprised? And I know that this is something just in the proposal stage, so I'll just quickly say my perspective and then let my neighbors share. It feels arbitrary. Let me just say it that way. I cannot imagine having students myself. I would not want to ride through a tunnel for how many feet. The safety of even that, of course, if something was built, they'd have to figure out the escape route, God forbid something happens. But the length of the tunnel is electrifying and quite scary just thinking about it. And never mind the disruption of having something like that built right in front of our front doors. It seems arbitrary and unnecessary given other proposals that seem to have been agreed to years prior. And I realize that this has an evolution of its own. So let me just stop there. I don't believe it's safe. I don't believe it's necessary. I believe there are lower cost, more efficient options for the community at large. And I do understand you have priorities with Charleston and Meadow. There are things you need to consider there too, and possibly first. But I hate putting money, time, effort into an option that makes no sense, again, feels arbitrary, and causes a lot of angst in the system. So I'll be quiet and I'll let my neighbors add.
Thank you, Jackie. Larry or Cedric, who would like to go next?
Yeah, hi, I'm Linda. Larry and I have lived here for over 39 years now, and we were pretty upset to hear what might be going on. We have concerns and we have questions. First of all, I know money's always an issue with these major projects, and it just seems like excavating for a tunnel would be the most expensive way to do things. Keeping things on the ground level or even elevating would be more efficient financially, I would imagine. We already have a path to on Churchill to the school, and I don't know why that can't be
enhanced.
Yeah, enhanced somewhat so that maybe the students can go underneath the elevated train, or if it's not going to be elevated enough, then maybe that would be the place for an overhead commute, some sort of bridge type thing, as opposed to a tunnel. It just sounds awful. The whole feel and look of the street is going to change. We're going to lose our sidewalks. We're going to lose our street trees. And even though our actual yards may not be excavated, still it's going to have an impact in the look and the feel and the comfort of the street. We'll lose the canopies that come together now. That's not going to happen again for decades if it ever happens again. So a lot of things are going to change. Also, Hallie's schedule is, as you probably know, is staggered, so that these thousands of students that are on their bicycles will be on there starting from classes start from 7:55 to 9 a.m. and everywhere in between. Same thing with the staggered lunch breaks, and same thing with the staggered end of day routine, so that it seems like there are always going to be hordes of children on bicycles all day long. It seems like it'll be impossible to get in or out of our house, certainly in the morning, mid or later afternoon. And there are 2,000 students enrolled now. By the time this project is completed, there'll be that many more, I can only assume. It just doesn't sound like a good idea. It just doesn't sound reasonable. And I'm really unhappy to see this go ahead, at least as it stands now.
Okay, thank you. Larry
Thank
or Cedric, who would like to go next?
Go ahead,
Cedric?
I'll go next. Like Jackie and Linda, we've been in our residence 43 years, so we've been here equally a long time and enjoyed the quietness of this neighborhood, the tree canopies and things like that. So it did come as a shock to hear that there's going to be this potential large excavation and then just hordes of bicyclists. As I put in my note, I'm an avid bicyclist. I bike not every day, but pretty much every day.
I see you every day, pretty much.
And I've been innumerable passes across Churchill, so I know the situation. It's not particularly great. It's not great in the morning. I've gone to Palo Alto Medical Clinic across that pathway wrongfully. I don't do it anymore. I use the underpass at Embarcadero. But I guess part of my concern is safety and security. Safety, as I ride down through South Park, Southgate many times to go from Pam for the high school down to, say, Molly Stone's. Those streets are probably 40% less wide than what we have here. And to think that you're going to be considering putting hundreds of bicyclists now, I will tell you now, when I ride down through there as a single bicyclist, the cars have to pull to the side so that you can make a pathway through there. So the streets are not really conducive for putting major thoroughfare for bicyclists. So I would hope that you would consider, for the benefit of the Southgate residents, that's really not a safe proposition whatsoever, putting bicyclists into the pathway there. From a security standpoint, Pierce Park, we used to take our dog over there numerous times for exercise. It's pitch black at night. And I don't know what lighting and what cost is going to have to go into that, but have a tunnel go through there. I use the tunnel at California Avenue regularly, once or twice a week. That's very well lit, but it's been a lot of safety concerns and security at night. I feature the same things would be an exposure here where they put this large tunnel underneath Seal Avenue. So from a safety standpoint, the streets in Southgate, the hordes of bicyclists that go through this area, and from a security standpoint at night and dumping into Pierce Park, which is today pitch black, would require a lot of lighting for kids to go to and from school in the morning or in the evenings in the wintertime. So I just hope that that's being considered. What I guess I'd like to also understand, Greg, is the California Avenue tunnel is very minimally utilized, but also so is the Embarcadero. I ride through there all the time on my bike. That dumps off right at the high school. There's a light that crosses there over to Town and Country. Why isn't that being considered? That's a direct path.
That's obvious, yeah.
From Palo Alto over to the high school. And to think about the added expense of digging another tunnel and another thing and dumping into Southgate, which is really not conducive for bicyclists, just seems to be poorly thought through. I understand the difficulties there are at the Churchill to try to have both vehicles and pedestrians and bicyclists. I understand that. But if that expense is going to have to be incurred to dig a separate and new one, why isn't that being considered in the design at Churchill? If that's because that dumps all these kids again off right at the school. So I just really, I guess I'm expressing concerns about how well is this being looked at, or is this just a knee-jerk response? We can't do it at Churchill, so let's find another simple solution. A very expensive, I think, not safe, not secure, putting this elsewhere. So those are my comments.
Okay, thank you, Cedric. Larry, do you want to share your comments?
I don't really have a heck of a lot more to add. I mean, I'm kind of here to support my neighbors and my wife primarily. Jackie had kind of caught me walking her dog and kind of gave me an idea of what was involved and that there was going to be, you know, a town hall meeting, I guess, a few days ago, and then this was coming. You know, I too am a bicyclist, and you know, there. I'll just say, and this is probably tangential to this discussion, but the bicycling in Palo Alto on any streets, you're taking your life in your hands, and whether or not, I mean, some of the discussion is this funding being channeled in the areas that have the most need to the community? You know, to me, having more traffic control officers out on the streets, I mean, right here at the corner of Seal and Emerson every day, and Jackie, you may see some of this walking your dog, but people don't stop at stop signs in Palo Alto. Okay, it's just a suggestion, and so I am not well schooled on what could be better options. But we have a lot of problems in Palo Alto, and I've seen some of the price tags of what it's going to cost to do this. I was downtown earlier today, and we've got our homeless problem is getting larger, and you know, we have the RVs parked along El Camino and elsewhere in Palo Alto where people, you know, can't find affordable housing, so they have to live in very suboptimal living conditions. And so, I mean, I guess where I am right now is that, yeah, let's think about, you know, what the appropriate solution is. I think, if I'm hearing correctly, that, you know, that we as taxpayers have not really been brought along as this whole discussion and these decisions have been made along the way. I think that's really a very poor way to treat taxpayers in the community. And again, I think Jackie said that's probably a topic for a different day. But and I'm retired. I'll be 70 next year, and like so many others. And again, there's always just not my neighborhood kind of conversation. But we lived there so many years, and I'm getting older, and the last thing I want to be encountering is more congestion and more things that are going to make my life more complicated as I age. So I think that's about all I'll say for now. I appreciate you, Greg, making this time available, and I'll pass it back over to you.
Okay, great. Well, guys, thank you all for sharing your perspective. I'm also a big bike. Oh, sorry, Sergeant, go ahead.
Larry triggered one the thought I forgot to mention.
Sure.
At the end of the block where this is being considered, I live in the first block of Seal Avenue, as says Jackie. But at the end of the block are rental properties. And those are rental properties that are really the only affordable areas in Palo Alto for students that they're going for their PhDs and masters and things at Stanford. And we have had numerous families, young families, that's the only place they can find to live. And now eminent domain is being considered to demolish 3 or 4 of those lower cost at several $1,000s a month homes, for which is the only place these people have to live. And I know that affordable housing is a big deal here in Palo Alto. So I hope that's being considered, because eminent domain is considering taking out several of these lower cost and only affordable homes in the area. And what that means for us, though, is now there's 35 or 40 cars that are parked down there, because most of these rental properties don't have sufficient parking. I don't know if that's a code violation or whatever, but they park on the street. And so all of those vehicles are going to be eliminated. They're going to eliminate our parking. We parked in front of our house. All these cars are going to spill down to Larry and Lynn's place and Emerson, because they have no place to park. So we're having a loss of affordable housing and loss of parking, which is going to dramatically